Hi, welcome to Phishing Fridays. I'm Justin Grotto, and with me is Tier 3 IT Solutions President Jesse Hill. Hi, Jesse.
Hey, Justin. Glad to be here. Thanks for putting this together. Can't wait to dig into it.
And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to talk about accounts payable fraud.
And this is one of those topics that I think is really great because we're not just technologists. We're not just securing, our clients' computers. We are working to protect their businesses. And the ways that criminals are attempting to extract anything they can out of the businesses that are out there. So maybe to start off, tell us a little bit about what is considered accounts payable fraud.
Accounts payable fraud is like any internal or external threat that is trying to take advantage of money going out of your business. So whenever you're paying vendors or suppliers or any of your expenses, it's intercepting those funds, on the way out, or creating, conditions in which you could, get those funds, steal those funds, essentially. And in the context of cybersecurity, this kind of falls into what's called business email compromise. But outside of cybersecurity, you can have subjects such as billing schemes. And what a billing scheme is essentially you're sending maybe a fake invoice created by an employee, or sending someone and impersonating a vendor or supplier. You're going to be sending two invoices that pay for a single invoice, and then the employee requests that the return payment be sent to an account that's in their control. Check fraud is another form of it, and actually 75% of businesses are victim to this type. It may involve adjusting the amount a check is made out for, and then changing the payee, or writing checks for personal expenses to a business account.
Well, one thing that I thought was interesting that you started off with, and we kind of breezed past, was it can be internal or external.
Yep.
And, the reason that that stood out to me is that, a lot of times people think, oh, my business, my IT company, cyber risk and cyber threats are coming from outside. But that's not always the case. I was actually at a business networking event just not even a month ago, and was hearing a story from a gentleman who owns a business locally. He about a year and a half ago had hired somebody new into the company, and he was telling the story that from when we were meeting, within a couple of days, he had to go to court because this person had been stealing from him since 2 weeks after they started working there.
Yep.
And what it was you're talking about these billing schemes. So they have a group of suppliers that they purchase from on a regular basis. And what this employee had done was manipulated the invoices from a vendor. Let's say the invoice was for $80,000. The employee changed that 80 into a 90 or 100 and entered it into the accounting system, and then would issue one payment for $80,000 to the vendor to legitimately pay their invoice, and then another payment to their own personal account for the difference. And this blew my mind because, just so many reasons. Over 14 months, this added up to more than $600,000 lost to this employee. So, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because this is not the first time that I've heard about this. And it's a very widespread problem. And a lot of times businesses think, well, I'll hire an IT company and the IT company is going to protect me from these digital risks. Well, we'll protect you from some, but you still have to manage your people and build in those processes and those policies so that you can catch it.
Yeah.
So that's maybe an example where, your cyber risk isn't always from outside. It can be somebody that you have hired that you are paying, and they're still finding ways to compromise your system and take advantage of you.
Well, 100%. It brings me to that. It's not always, there's an example of accounts payable fraud that isn't, it doesn't look super, malicious from the face, but kickback schemes are an example of an accounts payable fraud where it doesn't seem like there's any victim really. This type of scheme involves, a vendor or an outside supplier that's trying to maybe curry favor with someone who makes procurement decisions for a business, and in convincing that employee to make a decision that's in their best interest, they might offer some sort of like either financial or other benefit, personal reward for helping them make that decision, and actually almost a bribe to say, buy my software and we'll give you a kickback. And that's just one thing. It doesn't, from if you're not familiar with this type of thing, it maybe doesn't look like there's any victim in that, but it is a form of fraud to do that. So that's something to be aware of.
I was thinking, as we're going through this, I mean, it makes me realize there's just so many instances and circumstances where we've seen, bad actors try to take advantage of, small businesses, right? Because let's face it, bigger businesses, they typically have, systems and processes and departments and, protections in place. Doesn't mean that they work all the time. But a lot of times, small businesses, they're, reacting more to the problem of the day than necessarily executing on, well thought out, plans. So,
Yes.
The other scenario that came to mind was, and we saw this in one of clients that we work with, was a person in the accounts receivable department received an email. And the email appeared, it wasn't a very good, very well constructed phishing email, but it appeared to be from the CEO. And we've all heard about the emails from the CEO that ask you to go get some gift cards or to wire money somewhere. But instead, this email asked the employee to send a current accounts receivable listing along with the contact information for each of their accounts. And the employee, wanting to be very helpful, very quickly exported it all into Excel, put it in an email, and hit send, and realized shortly thereafter that that was not a valid request.
No.
And the thing that I find interesting about it, and I think you and I can talk about this, but why would a bad actor, why would a criminal want an accounts receivable listing from a business like that? Like, what does that open the door to?
The thing that comes to mind is it's a target list. It's a target list. Immediately, it looks like how much can I get here, 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 and there. And if I can spoof this email address and I can look like this person, why can't I, look at and target those email addresses and say, you have a invoice due and it's due this date, and you owe actually this financial details because we just changed our financial records. So within, a couple days, when you pay us there.
And we've talked about it in previous episodes, the things that make a phishing email, dangerous and believable is specific details and a call to action and urgency. And so, when you get an email that just says, oh, by the way, we've updated our payment information, you question it. When you get one that says invoice number with amount due is,
Checks out.
you go, okay. So it builds their credibility. So I guess maybe, I mean, we've talked about a couple of examples of, what falls into this umbrella of accounts payable fraud. What kinds of thoughts can we share with people about how they might be able to protect themselves and lower their risk of falling victim to one of these frauds?
It's actually a really great point. Ways in which we can prevent accounts payable fraud, business email compromise. We start first with awareness, and what we're doing right now is a form of awareness that is really great. It provides good examples, real world examples, shows you what could have went wrong, and then we talk about like forms of prevention. And another thing that works with prevention is having those systems and processes in place to verify, an identity, verify that someone is who that they say they are whenever they're making requests to change financial details, either coming in or money going out. And if that includes maybe going over or around that person that's, that you think is reaching out to you, and going to a known trusted contact method to say, we got this request, can you verify it? Or maybe asking multiple forms of communication just to verify it. That could save you in the long run.
I think it's really important there. We hopefully all know our clients, and we know our suppliers. And anytime something really material is changing, whether it's hey, they want us to send money to a different account, or they want us to pay in a different way, or can we accept a different type of payment than we normally accept? So much of our business gets done through email nowadays. I mean, you just sometimes have to pick up the phone. And this is where, again, we want to remind people that if you are receiving emails that are asking you to do something different, and something's not quite right, don't call the number in the email. Because scammers are smart enough to, register and get phone numbers that are close or similar to the one that you're used to. Go back to your CRM, visit their webpage, look at their official letterhead, really confirm that the people that you're talking to are who they're purporting to be before you make updates and changes, and send your money to a place you're not going to get it back. Any other thoughts on accounts payable fraud we could share?
No, we have talked about a lot of forms of accounts payable fraud. It comes in many forms, and digitally we use all these sorts of different systems, and a lot of them make things easier, but with that, it brings on risk. We just have to be aware of the risk and what we can do to kind of limit that and turn it into opportunities to make our business, a bit more optimized and running more smoothly. Jesse, I'd like to thank you for joining me for this Phishing Fridays, and thank everyone for viewing out there, and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks, Justin.